Hiya, I'm Jasper, and welcome to your video review for the Divergent series, Allegiant. It's a movie starring the same people as last time, plus Jeff Daniels and a couple of people I don't know. So, as always, I'm going to give you the good, the bad, and the furry. To start with furry, there isn't any. Moving on to the good and the bad. So, I ended up doing some Googling after watching this movie because I was like, was there a fourth book or a fourth thing? So what it is that they tried to do the Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and Part 2 thing, and the various other movies that have had their last part split up into two movies. But apparently they also did the Dune thing, which is really fucking stupid, where instead of just filming them together or back to back, they finished filming this and then started doing the CGI, the after effects, blah, 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 blah. Like, they weren't going to film the sequel to this until after this movie came out, which, if you know about the lag time between when a movie wraps, like, principal photography versus when it comes out, that's a long fucking time. So, essentially, they aren't saving any money by just doing it that way. If they had filmed them together, then you could have been working on, like, the after effects and the editing and whatnot. Maybe done some reshoots, sure, of the next one, but they overall would have saved money with principal photography and all that jazz. But they didn't. So that happened, and then this movie didn't make nearly the amount of money that was necessary for them to make the sequel, so it's almost a cliffhanger ending. How I will call it is, if you remember, it was either the end of Season 5 or Season 6 of Deep Space Nine, when they had just, spoiler alert for the show that's the greatest show on television, anyhow, so they had just lost Deep Space Nine because the Cardassians and Jem'Hadar or whoever else, like, they came in, and so, you know, they sabotaged, so our heroes, the Federation, they sabotaged the hell out of the station before they left, and they got the Defiant, and they, like, ran away, and then they, like, the ending of the episode is they, like, turn around because they join up with this massive Starfleet of, this fleet of Starfleet vessels, that they're going to go retake the ship. Like, they do that turn around and start back. Like, yeah, they lost it, but oh man, they just about to join up with their buddies and come at them. And so it's not quite that level of cliffhanger, but it's pretty close because they do the thing, and, like, sure, they do the thing enough to, like, consider it an ending, but you know that there's a big enough other thing that they didn't solve anything long term. This is a super temporary victory. And apparently, there was only 3 books, but they decided to split the last book into 2 separate movies and never made the second movie, and nobody was interested in doing a TV show that were the actors, because why would they be interested in that? You know, less pay, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, they just didn't, and we never got the ending. And apparently there was some divergence from the novels, but I don't know where, because I didn't care to read that far. So, yeah, this has a very close to a cliffhanger ending, and I guess you'll have to read the novel if you want to see how it ends, and I don't know if it ends well or poorly or what. But this also, aside from the ending, was not nearly as good of a movie. I will give them props for the interesting technology that they used for the soldiers, where they had, like, the triple drone setup that was, like, going around. They suddenly introduced a force field thing, which I was like, okay, sure. Like, and I think that's one of my problems with this movie, is that they introduced such advanced technology for the humans outside of the Chicago area that it's like, how is your technology that advanced when you're trying to say that these humans in Chicago are the ones that are going to be the better humans? Like, you managed to do this with your technology, but they're the better. I'm missing something here. And then the other thing is that I do like the drone capability. I think that is something that is going to be integrated more and more with, and I feel like we've already even seen it with movies, how they've acknowledged, like, how much drones are going to factor into whatever combat is going on, either in person, space, whatever. So the fact that they had that in this movie, and I guess the book, but in this movie, I think that it was almost ahead of its time with that. I don't know for sure, but it feels like this was way more in a very integrated thing with the drones, more so than we had seen up until this movie came out. So I thought that was fun and kind of ahead of its time. What's not ahead of its time is the shitty writing. I'll just say it. Like, Triss, who's been this brash, like gonna do what I want and gonna fight for everything that I believe in and, you know, stand up against injustice type of person for this, the other two movies, I would say for like half-ish of this movie, she's just going along with like fucking bad guy McBatterson that you can tell is bad from the start. Like, everyone knows he's clearly, obviously bad and lying and full of shit. And even some of the actors, like, oh, I don't know, 4, is like, he's bad. And she's like, nah, it's fine. I'm going to do whatever he says. And the whole premise of, like, so much of this going on because they need to study her DNA, like, bitch, take a blood sample, and there you go. Like, that was part of the thing is, what were they doing with Triss up there? Like, he kept on calling her up to this really beautiful set. I will say that it kind of reminded me of Oblivion. So that's one of the really good things about this, is that, yeah, there were a couple of points that the CGI didn't match, like, especially when they first got captured and they were in the, like, holographic bubble things, like their angle. Clearly they were, it was supposed to be that angle, but it just looked funky. It looked like they were on terrible strings or wire work. So that was unfortunate. But especially the, like, bad guys off, I'm going to call him the bad guy as to how bad he is or isn't. I'm not spoiling for you. But the office that she was in, very well done. It very much reminded me of how Oblivion was shot with that, the residence that they were in. And a bunch of the shots of the city were just surprisingly good. I think that they overachieved with their $110 million budget in this movie versus what you've seen in $300 million budgets nowadays. So I was very impressed at the visuals for this, but the writing just can't hold up. It does not make sense to have her keep on going back up there. You have the DNA sample, blood sample, whatever. What else do you need from her? We never see why she's up there other than to just stand there while he, like, taps her on the face or whatever. Like, it's just, there's no point. And then they're like, hey, you guys are unpure or diseased or bad or whatever, but we're going to give you weapons and training and take you out on the thing where, like, we should know you better than this by now to know that, like, bad things you're probably not going to stand for. But sure, we're going to hook you up with all the training and all the weapons and then show you all the bad things and be like, no, but it's okay because we're doing it. It's fine because we're doing it. And you like that because it's us, right? We're totally besties. Oh, you mean you're going to shoot us and try to start a rebellion because what we're doing is super bad? Oh no, who could have predicted this? Everyone could have predicted this. So, yeah, and so much of it was spent away from Chicago that it just kind of created this weird thing. And then also, like, even with the ship, and they're like, oh, we can't take back control of it. Like, you have this drone technology on the shirts, but you don't have, hey, let's remote in and retake over that ship technology. Like, come on, man. And the wall, like, you can't reprogram the wall at all to, like, allow your other ships pursuing them to come in. And the wall was kind of neat, and as I expected, it was like a holographic thing, but I forgot as to what detail and how far away it was, which, by the way, I feel like they changed up the geography to give them that, like, cliff initially when they were getting out of Chicago. But whatever. And, yeah. So, I don't want to give away a piece there, but, there was a predictable thing that happened when they were getting over the wall. I'm just saying. So, this movie was just, the writing was very bad, and Miles Teller is still with them for some fucking reason. I still don't understand. Like, he's just, why? Why would you have, every time you bring him along and you're like, what? You betrayed us again for your own benefit. Why didn't we see this coming for the 17th time? Like, it's like Loki, except Thor never catches on. So, or Thor and Thor never catches on. Thor finally did. Anywho, point being, writing was garbage, pacing was dumb, not enough happened in it, and then they had a cliffhanger-ish ending. So I can kind of see why this one didn't get a last movie, but it still would have been nice to see the conclusion of it. I'm not going to read the books. Yeah, so this movie, I would say, just be pleased with the Insurgent movie. Just stop there. I don't think this one is necessarily worth a watch. You can kind of pretend that they had a happily ever after, whereas with this one, I feel like it's harder to pretend that happily ever after because of just the way in which it ended. So, yeah. Also, they kind of changed up the vehicles. Like, all the vehicles had, doors in the other one, and now they don't, because Mad Max, I guess. I don't know. It was whatever. So not as good of a movie, not as good of a time. Still some pretty good CGI and some pretty interesting technological implementation. So that's all I have for this one. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you at the next one. Bye.